we've covered this a little bit, but right, we want to begin with that general information, and then think of it like a funnel. We want to then narrow the focus to the specific problem that you're studying, and then really state your rationale and your aims. What are you trying to accomplish? So that really, by the time you finish your introduction, you're at that sharp point of the triangle here, and then you can get into things like your methods. How are you solving the problem, and then ultimately to your results, and then your discussion. So this is probably, I think, the the most synthesis you need to do, right, in terms of pulling together all of the past research, being able to clearly state your contribution as a researcher, and then focusing that down. As I mentioned before, the research should be technical, but then someone should be able to pick this up with a general scientific knowledge and be able to understand, oh, this is where that fits in there. You can't assume that everybody, say, on an editorial board, while they might be in that field, would be as close to the specific topic, whatever that might be. So I think you want to make sure that what you have here is readable, is compelling, and then really that you have a realistic research approach as you go through that. So here's some examples, right? They're from outside medicine. So from an environmental standpoint, um, you know, you, the cumulative effects of an environment pollution on climate change and ecological deterioration are growing prominent, right? So that catches your attention, right? We're talking about how this is a growing problem that's affecting the environment. Or here, when we're talking about this is in physics, the delta function has played an enormous role in the development and advancement of quantum mechanics since its introduction by Dirac. So understanding that this is an important piece of physics and then pulling that through about what you're going to talk about. These are general statements. Oh, sorry, I'm too fast. These are general statements that allows you to build there on top of that. And then moving down to that second step we discussed of identifying the research problem, right? So here's some other examples. Many Chinese researchers have studied the EKC hypothesis with time series data. These findings are inconclusive and sometimes contradictory, right? So that draws you in terms of, oh, okay, well, how are we going to solve this? There's contradictory data. And likewise here, however, the evaluation of the coefficient B, often called U naught in literature, is not obvious and has been the subject of some disagreement, right? So we're saying the same thing. We're setting up the problem, the disagreement, and that it's not obvious. And then the idea is that then we'll come behind with our contribution and our research and set things straight. So it's the however statement. Your paper becomes the solution. Our purpose is to present a unified picture of how, by letting the range of square well approach zero in 1, 2, or 3 dimensions, one may deduce the bound state structure in the delta function limit, right? So this is the payoff, right? So the general statement, the problem, and then the solution. And likewise here, in order to explore the interactions and feedback between the environment quality and the economic growth and measure the time lag between them, this paper builds several models on the basis of time series data analyses and carries out a comprehensive study of the relationship between industrial pollution and economic factors. Right. So the idea is, as we've discussed, right, you want to set the table, but then you come behind and you're the solution. And that's what draws people into then reading the rest of the paper. Key phrases are in this study are here. So just to summarize, when we talk about a good introduction, we're talking about clearly identifying the subject area, establishing context by providing a brief and balanced review of the pertinent literature, clearly stating the hypothesis you're investigating. People overlook this. I think maybe because we're taught, thesis, hypothesis as a general concept very early on in our career as scientists, and then we come back, a few years actually doing those manuscripts. But I think having a very well articulated hypothesis is important. I think that's kind of the whole foundation of what we're trying to solve here. And then why did you choose this kind of research study or the science? I think it's another important piece we want to work in as well.